Good morning, Denny Blanco, my man. How you doing? What is that?
Stir flu. The kid is under the weather.
Nah.
I will fight. I will fight for you. I may have only half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on my body response.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go into a heaving cough or a sneeze and I dip off the camera, I'm sorry. We're live.
Indeed, we are live on Thursday, October 17th. My man Denny Blanco on social media as Sir Denny Blanco, myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter J C R U Z. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. Go to youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. We greatly appreciate it. So, Denny, you happen to be, below the weather on a day where
Real below.
you real real below. You go to bed early last night. What's funny is that earlier in the day, I said, "Yo, I think we should go live after Liberty and Lynx." Obviously, we did not know how it was going to end up. I said, "No, we should do something live at the Liberty and the Lynx." She said, "I'm not feeling too well. Let's do it tomorrow." I said, "Cool, no problem." You're watching the game. They're down by 15, first quarter. You know what? I think it's a wrap. I'm gonna go to bed. And like you wake up this morning and you find out the Liberty not only won the game, but you see the fashion that they won in with the game winner by Sabrina and probably one of the biggest shots in league history and also Liberty history. And I'm watching the post game and I'm like, damn, me and Dennis could have been all right now talking about this historical game, but I gotta wait till the morning because my guy's not feeling well. But
God forbid that the kid gets a little.
You missed it.
God forbid the kid gets a little under the weather because of the weather change in the East Coast, going from 40 degrees to 70 all in one day. They were down 15 in New York Liberty, from what I saw. Like I said, I was asleep. They were down 15, and I thought Minnesota had the momentum. I was looking at also too. Did you watch the whole game, good sir?
Yes, sir. I was watching that, the Dodger game.
Okay. So yeah, we can. Okay, so
there was a lot going on last night. Let
me write that down. Dodger game. Write that down. So yeah, I saw them down 15, and then I wake up this morning and I was like, what? Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
I want to explain something to our listeners watching. It's in Game Pod today. Thank you for tuning in. That shot, Sabrina Ionescu. See, I have problems. Sidebar: I do have problems announcing names. So
Ionescu.
I did it wrong.
I mean, you did better than last week. You did better than last week. I'll give you that. Listen, you're not feeling well, so I'll give you a little benefit of the doubt.
Oh, all right? You got empathy for the kid. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Ionescu. Sabrina took the shot that she took. I call it it's Kobe-esque, if you will. I say it's Kobe-esque because Kobe could be 5 for 30.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll take a game-winning shot like
like it's nothing.
Rest in peace to one of the GOATs, Kobe Bean Bryant. Obviously, there are pictures online showing Sabrina taking a picture with Kobe when she was with the Ducks, I believe, Oregon.
Yeah.
She's been a huge Kobe Bryant fan, and Kobe obviously has been a huge fan of hers. So he's up there smiling, I imagine.
Yeah.
The shot in general, I was confused. Tie game. Kids, that's not a good shot. Excuse me.
But if you're Sabrina, if you're Steph Curry, you'll take it.
Kids.
You'll take it.
Kids. It's not Dame. There's only like 3 or 4 people on earth that can take that shot, to be honest with you. Like 3. Steph, Dame. I'd have to think a little bit more. Like, there's only from that range, not the shot.
You know who you sound like? You sound like Paul George in that Thunder Portland game when Dame hit that big shot, and then Paul George it wasn't a good shot. It was a bad shot that just went in.
Difference between me and Paul George in that same scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have crowded him.
Yeah,
that's the difference between me. He was like, "Oh, you're too far." Mm-hmm. That was his.
Yeah,
you're too far, good sir.
Yeah,
you gotta crowd him.
Before we go further, got my man Robin Lundberg, Sports Illustrated, waiting. I definitely, just a quick 30 seconds. I wanted him to come on. Obviously, again, we did not know how this game was going to finish, but I know he's been covering the Liberty for a little bit. Big fan of the WNBA, Caitlin Clark supporter. So I said, hey man, what are you doing tonight or tomorrow? Let's recap Game 3, and obviously the first All NBA WNBA team came out last night. That kind of sparked Sabrina as well. So without further ado, let me get my man Robin Lundberg on. Mr. Lundberg, good morning. How you doing?
What up, guys? What up?
Caitlin
Clark supporter. How you mean basketball fan?
This is Randy. That was Randy. That wasn't me. That was Randy.
No. I mean, I am a Caitlin Clark supporter. I just don't know where that became. Like, one person has broken everybody's brains so severely and catastrophically, I cannot even comprehend. I've never seen it before in the way that it is with her, where great player who's brought all this attention to the game and is objectively great, has people polarized one way or the
other. Randy, before you pitch to your boy Robin, he knocks out the park, obviously, because he's been in the know for a little bit.
Of course.
Obviously, shout out to him as well on TikTok. His, TikTok, he's very clear on, breaking down things. So Robin on TikTok as well. Follow him. I just want to confirm before you start, was the release of the first team before the game started last night?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna get to that, but it is apropos that Robin Lundberg is on now because his boy and I'll play it. Ryan Rucco probably had the call of his life. I couldn't tell if he was super happy, got choked up.
All of the above.
It was all natural. So Robin, I know you've probably seen this 100 times, but Dennis, if you have not seen it,
I'll say it again.
This is the game-winning shot with
bad shot, good shot.
Hey, it went in. It went in.
Bad shot, good shot.
Reset into Phoebus. 8 seconds remaining.
And that reach killed her.
Game 3.
That reach, right there.
You will heave and hit and hit. Sabrina Ionescu with the biggest.
Look at that face, bro.
Yeah. Can I say something about the shot quality for a second? Because
talk to me.
What is a good shot versus what is a bad shot has changed. We are no longer in the time frame where that is a bad shot, in my opinion, with the proliferation of the 3-point shot and how good players have gotten. And you just referenced Kobe a minute ago. All the time, in LeBron's career, when LeBron didn't shoot it, I'd heard he's weak for not forcing up a shot, right? So, which one is it? Is it Uchi Wally or is it one Mike? Do you want the players to force the shot up or not? And in this case, in Kobe, I don't even know if he's the best example because Sabrina wasn't jacking up shots throughout the rest of the game. And Kobe, as great as he was, and obviously rest his soul, was not exactly clutch when it comes to coming through in the big moments from a percentage-wise or a 3-point shooter. But it is that Mamba mentality. So I get that, and her face, the way she held it, and the fact that Kobe was a very public supporter of Sabrina. But look, that's her shot. She went head to head with Steph Curry in the NBA All-Star game in a 3-point shootout. So you give her space and let her raise up. That's a normal makeable shot for her. So I don't, is that a bad shot nowadays? I wouldn't say so.
Well, allow me to retort.
Yeah.
Allow me to retort. The common thread is it's tie game and obviously strategy. The common thread is when it's tie game and it's a big on you, you go by him, get closest to the rim as possible, and you take your shot. That's what I've always been taught.
But is that a better shot for Sabrina, a contested driving pull-up, than an off-the-bounce clean look at 3?
Oh, no. you could take an off the bounce 20-footer. You could take an off the bounce 18-footer.
But she's probably more comfortable from that distance than she is from 18 feet or 20
Possibly.
Like,
but,
I mean, like
again,
we talked about Caitlin Clark earlier. Like, Caitlin Clark actually shoots as well, if not better, from 30 to 34 feet than she does from 20 to 24 feet.
She's an alien. Clearly, Sabrina's an alien because 9 times out of 10, I think I was telling Randy, that's not a good shot. And your coach would probably bench you. So, kids, be mindful. There's only a Sabrina. I told them, I said, there's only a couple people on earth that you, Robin, or Randy would look and say, oh, okay. If Sabrina missed, they would be like, oh, she missed. She shot 5 for 12.
Yeah.
5 for 12 ain't bad.
Say again.
That's like a normal. 5 for 12 is a normal shooting.
Well, no, 5 for 10, 50%. 5 for 10, 50%. But I mean, at the same time, too, I'm like, from 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
She was 3 for 8.
Her coach told her to take the shot, by the way. Like Sandy Brindello said,
that 3?
So it said the ball's in your hands to call your own number. That's her, but that's her shot. It's funny because not that I'm on this level. Obviously, I'm so far from it, but anytime I can bring my own exploits to this, the way it's changed in the sense, like I was at Dykeman and I did a 3-point shootout for Red Bull, right? And I hit 7 out of 20 NBA threes. And now in the runs that I'm in, I'm pulling up from further away, and it's just because I realized, I got better range than I thought I had, and that's just the game nowadays. Like those are makeable, normal shots for players. Those are shots Sabrina practices all the time that she makes at a high clip. So if you're telling me Sabrina has a clean look and can rise into her shooting motion unimpeded from that distance, that's a good shot because that's a shot she makes at a high percentage.
Yeah, definitely a good shot, clean look. Again, kids. Sabrina, Dame Dallas, and Curry are probably the only 3 that we can think of. Me and Randy, unless Robin, you have somebody else that could probably
and Clark now.
There you go. Only probably the people on Earth, the 4
LeBron James actually.
LeBron, I'll throw LeBron in there.
Better distance 3-point shooters in the league.
I'll throw LeBron in there too.
That's after LeBron has to stare at the ball like this and then bounce and do his.
But even in game 2, and it wasn't the distance, but Leonie Fibic had a 3-on-1 break and pulled up from 3.
Yeah,
and she hit it, and it was the dagger shot. It's just a different day and age. Like a lot of those lessons that were once applicable. I mean, nowadays, even if you're a big, you really need to be able to, but especially if you're not a big, you got to be able to make those shots like layups.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to pull up some numbers. I'm going to do some further research on this, on games that are, tied down 1 and the possession is a 30-foot 3. How many those games end in wins, W's? And how many ends and losses? I got to do some research because I know it's not a high percentage of wins.
No,
I know. So that's why I'm just like, shout out to Sabrina.
But when you're tied, you're not taking the L if you miss, right? So
right.
It's a little different than if you were down 1, and that was So I actually like it better in a tie situation than anything else because worst case scenario, you're going to overtime.
If you're down 1, down 2, down 3, you take that shot. You're like, oh, that was crazy. Like tied on
the road, you
goes
take
in,
that
we
shot.
good. Yeah, doesn't go in, we go overtime. But when you heard your boy Ruka on that call last night, what was going through your head? Like how? That's probably one of the better calls he's had, and he's great at doing these games.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm proud of where he's gotten to and where he's at and, how comfortable he is.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing is he's sure of himself in those moments in order to say that as defined as he said it, as clean as he said it. And that's part of the job. But, that comes with the reps and having done it a bunch and being, ready for the moment, like built for the moment. As Sabrina said, I'm built for this. He's built for this now, having all the reps that he's had. And I don't think he's overthinking it when he's doing it. He's calling it as he sees it in real time, and it comes across that way.
Go ahead, Randy.
No, and to not be forgotten, Breanna Stewart, 30 and 11, 4 blocks. Like she was on a different level last night.
She was Stewie.
She wasn't trying to leave game 3 without that W. Like she was hot. Everything that she threw up there was going in, and she was kind of like the one person that was keeping this team afloat. And then Sabrina got hot in the 4th, but without Breanna holding it down with that 30-11, the many defensive stops on Collier, like her, she was going at it last night.
Oh, yeah, no, she was – look, Breanna Stewart is, I think, one win away from probably having the best case for player of her generation. You know, like, I feel like there was this talking point before the season that you had to say A'ja Wilson was the best. And if you didn't say A'ja Wilson was the best and you dared mention anybody else, you got some sort of blowback. I don't know if that's because of the MVP voting last year or whatever the case may be. I don't know why. But when you look at them head-to-head, it's their profiles are very close. Like it's one or the other. Like and you can make the case for either and not be wrong. But if we're using rings as the tiebreaker, then this would be the tiebreaker for Breanna Stewart right here, who won 4 college championships at UConn. And by the way, I've never heard college championships used in arguments quite the way that they've been used since Caitlin Clark came around. Because people are like, yo, she didn't win in Iowa. Like, you never hear like Carmelo Anthony can't be slandered because he won at Syracuse.
That's right. That's right. Freshman.
But nonetheless, she won 4 college national championships.
Yeah.
This would be another one in the WNBA to make it 3 and a couple MVPs and, like doing it with a couple different teams. So I think Breanna Stewart, has a real case as the player of her generation with one more win.
I mean, she made the all first team. You want to go there and we go back to the game, but Breanna Stewart, A'ja Wilson, Collier, your girl Caitlin Clark, and Alyssa Thomas from the Sun are the first team. I mean, I didn't really see much of a pushback, only from the Sabrina fans on social. Like, oh, maybe she should have been there. I mean, they had the best record in the entire league. Maybe she should have been there. But I mean, no, I would put her on there. That's just me.
I had her there over Thomas.
Who's coming off
for sure?
Thomas for sure.
Oh,
to me, it was clear. I don't even think. To me, it was clearly Clark, Sabrina, A'ja, Fee, and Stewie.
Yeah, I mean, if you go by position, is the only one guard, Clark, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to go by positions, but so it doesn't even matter. So to me, Sabrina was the 5th spot on the first team. That's how I would have had it. That's how I did have it in my picks that I made.
Yeah.
Before. Thomas just is a really good all around player and hard nosed player and a great facilitator, especially for her size, but didn't score enough, I don't think, and isn't a threat enough to score compared to the season Sabrina had. So, you couldn't leave A'ja off given what she did. She and 1,000 points in WNBA history. You couldn't leave Stewie off, given her pedigree and where the Liberty were. Couldn't leave Fee off, defensive player of the year, what she did. Couldn't leave Clark off, most points produced by any player in the history of the league. And you couldn't leave, to me, Sabrina off, given the Liberty. But that was the most open position. But I would have had Sabrina in.
Yeah. And I mean, when you go think in hindsight, if the Liberty take game 1, and I say they win game 2, this could have been the closeout game. But again, you go back in hindsight, you never know what could happen. But they have a chance to close out tomorrow. It's a lot of New York sports stuff going on with the Knicks gonna start soon. Your Brooklyn Nets, Rob. The Yankees, the Mets, in the LCS, Jets, Giants. Like, if the Liberty win tomorrow, is like I'm hoping that it's a big uproar for this, right?
I'm planning on going out there tomorrow, actually, because of that. And I would say
Minnesota.
Yeah,
nice.
The coverage of the Liberty has been shameful in New York sports because they're too slow to adjust. And I don't know what it is, because everybody's been a little slow to adjust, right? Because I don't think anybody actually, other than me, actually saw this coming to the degree that it has come. Where, I think some people thought with Clark it was going to be like a Tebow, Jeremy Lin kind of thing, when really it's a Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods kind of thing. And a generational change where we will never look at the sport the same after her. But the rest of the league, rising tide lifts all boats. And now more people are aware of who Asia Wilson is, and more people are aware of who Angel Reese is a star in her own right, all these things. But when it comes to the Liberty, Randy, we've seen each other out there. They have cultivated a real vibe and a real fan base in Brooklyn. So when they've got 18,000 people in the arena to watch the finals game, and the finals, even without Clark, is doing over 1 million viewers, the most in 20 years, how is it not being discussed or covered? There's no argument. Like, it's one thing if in the past you thought you were raising it to be fair or to, we got to cover the women like we do the men, even though the interest wasn't the same. Because to me, it's always about the objective, facts and what's actually are you serving the audience? At this point, you can no longer argue that the interest isn't there. They're selling out an arena and they're getting the viewership on TV. So why is no one discussing them when New York hasn't won a championship in however long? Especially when they've got star players too. Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu are we just talked about 2 of the 5 biggest stars in the sport. So 2 of the 5 biggest stars of the sport who are being watched by millions of people and are selling out their arena, and not a single mention or segments being in New York sports talk radio. It's garbage.
Denny, you want to tackle that?
I mean, he laid down the smacketh.
That's right.
He laid down the smacketh down on, I guess, technically New York media for being slow to the game and not jumping on. Robin, do they win? Do New York Liberty win? They win the championship.
They're just a better team. They're stacked. In fact, it's a massive failure if they don't win. They have a super team. You have Sabrina, you have Stewie, you have Jonquel Jones, who's a former MVP.
Yep.
Not to mention Courtney Vandersloot, a great of the game, coming off the bench.
Champion.
And Leonie Fiebich is basically a superstar in her own right. Like, she, talk about a 3 being allowed. She's shooting like 60% from 3 for the playoffs. And, she's 6'4", with that kind of size to play defense, there's no excuse. They choked away game 1. Otherwise, this series should already be over. The Lynx had their best chance to win. They got an injury in that game. I think the Liberty closed it out in decisive fashion in game 4, but with 2 chances to win. If they don't, it's a massive choke job for them. They need to win the championship.
Then it's weird because I'm watching it last night. And I'm like, damn, Stewie's killing it. Yo, Sabrina, what are we doing? I need Sabrina. I need playoff Sab to pop up. This is a big monumental game because, the winner of game 3 is going to have all the momentum for game 4. And then, she made it 3. Then the second one, it rolled in and out. I'm like, oh, here we go with this. Then they get a foul. Then it's tied up. We go to overtime. Like, nah. But like, you just kind of seen like she's on the like we just saw it top of the key. And once she does the hezzy, the step back to the side, is like, oh, nah, she ain't just pull up from the logo.
Going left.
It's going left, try to win this game. And that shit goes in. And I'm like, I screamed out, holy shit. like it's not about how you make it, it's when. It's like Shaq always says, yeah, I might miss 20 free throws, but I might make one late in the fourth quarter, which is the key one to put me over the hump. But that shot right there, like she said, the biggest shot of her career. And, if it leans toward their winning a championship, that shot is going to go down as the biggest shot in their history of the franchise. On the verge of their first and only championship. They've been there, I think, 4 or 5 times. They lost every single time. So it's like this right here. I'm all in. Let's get it done tomorrow. I love Collier, but I'm like, nah, it's Stewie, Sabrina, we got to bring this home for New York.
When's the parade?
I don't know when. I don't know where, but
Canyon of Heroes. No, I mean,
okay, it should be. Yeah. Listen, I haven't been to one parade. I know no Yankees parade, no Giants parade. I haven't been. Have you been to a parade in New York?
I was there when Hove showed up for the Yankees in 2009, Blueprint 3. The Yankees. New York was like the theme song, all that.
So you ain't go to the Giants one in 2011, 12?
I don't think I did. No.
Yeah, the Giants, right? Giants won the championship.
How are they? How the parades? It's a lot going on.
I'm not a fan of parades in general. Like, it's just like I try to avoid over congestion and things where I can't move and do whatever. But look, you don't want to crap on the celebratory vibes. Of course, there should be a parade. But yeah, I will cover it, of course. But yeah, I can't say that a parade is my favorite thing in the world. Personally.
All right, Robin Clem said New York media would rather focus on controversy than the triumphs and accomplishments of the respective sports teams.
Well, that's a problem. That's a problem with media in general. I mean, like, look at this WNBA season, right? Like, how often the second somebody brings up, what a random fan said, it's like it's everywhere. Versus you're talking about record ratings and record attendance, right? Like, there are thousands and thousands and millions upon millions of more people who have come into the league and the game. And when you go to Barclays Center, you feel that. You feel that energy in the building, and no one's talking about any negativity or BS. Not that anybody should have to deal with that. Of course they shouldn't. That can't be stated any more clear. But you notice how much life is given to that by the media, and it becomes the topic of conversation as if it's the story of the season, which is just ridiculous if you're talking in the grand scheme of things from the 30,000 foot view, because you're looking down at we would not have been mentioning the WNBA at this point in the year. I'd be on talking Knicks and Nets with y'all right now.
Facts.
That's just the truth, right? Like, I'd be on talking Knicks and Nets with y'all. But instead, we're talking about this because of how much explosive growth there has been in the game. But the media does love to latch on to controversial topics, or in some of these instances. And it comes from all sides of it too, right? Like, the right-wing folks were like, Caitlin Clark is being targeted, blah, 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 blah. And then the left-wing folks are like, the league has been great before Caitlin Clark. It just causes this massive firestorm when, if you're actually using your brain, you see what's going on here, and it's a positive story. Like, this is not a negative story. It's the stupidest thing in the world for it to be spun as a negative story.
Then before you go next, and then you just mentioned the Caitlin Clark effect. Now, if I'm wrong, tell me, is it the Caitlin Clark effect that now, beginning next year, that the playoff format is changing? We're going to a best of 7 for the finals.
Oh, is that correct?
Oh, so you ain't know that?
Yeah.
No, thank you for educating me. That's why we do It's in the Game
finals,
podcast, baby.
The finals are going best of 7. The semis, best of 5. But the first round is a 1-1-1. So, like, you play at my home, game 1. I play your home, game 2. If there's a game 3, you go back to my home. And I'm thinking because when the Fever was in the playoffs and they had this current format, they lost both games on the road. So there was no home playoff game for the Fever. So now it could be, unless Robin tells me I'm wrong, this is the Clark effect, that everybody's going to get at least one home playoff game, and we're going to extend the finals.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, they've lost out on revenue by not going back to Indiana. But regardless, I mean, just look at the media rights deal. They 3x their media rights deal with a chance to get out of that in 3 years if it continues to grow. But they locked into 3 times what they had. Mm-hmm. And anyone who's not giving the bulk of that credit to Caitlin Clark is being dishonest. That's just like not to say there weren't great players before her. There clearly were. Not to say there aren't great players now. There are. And they are also being recognized, and they are deserving of that recognition. But to ignore, 18 million people watched the 2 most watched basketball games this century are Iowa and South Carolina in the national championship game last year, and the Olympic final, the gold medal game between France and US on the men's side. And then the draft, the WNBA draft does as many viewers as the last 6 drafts combined. Mm-hmm. And you see the sellouts, and 2.5 million people watch Caitlin Clark's last playoff game, right? So we're talking about the WNBA Finals doing its best numbers. And so game one of the WNBA Finals was the highest rated game 1 of all time. Which is all time. Highest rated game 1 of all time. The highest rated WNBA Finals game of the last 20 years. And it had 1.1 million viewers. Caitlin Clark's last playoff game in the first round had 2.5 million viewers. So to look at every piece of data and everything and not say that the driving force behind all that is Caitlin Clark, is just being dishonest. And I don't know why people feel this need to push back against that. It's not a, it's not a tribalistic thing. It's not a black and white thing. It's men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Numbers. There you go. Numbers. I mean, you hit it right on the head, Robin. I don't disagree with you more. The numbers don't lie. Going back a little bit to what you mentioned about the New York Liberty and the coverage. I mean, my wife has not ever watched a WNBA game, and she's going crazy over Ellie. And I'm like,
call me Big LA.
That's right.
Big silly.
See? I said, wait, hold on. I said, hold on. She said, I'm in love with Ellie. I said, who? She said, you don't know who Ellie is? I said, all right. So there is a swell, obviously what I don't know what it's going to take to turn that corner to where New York media, like, I guess, explodes that particular momentum that the New York Liberty has been, obviously putting in the work for the last 2 or 3 years. That just doesn't happen overnight, I imagine. This takes some time and some development. So I'm happy that the New York Liberty is at a point where they're about to win a championship. More likely going to get a parade. And I imagine next year's coverage of media is going to be a whole lot different, I imagine.
Yes. Well, that's where they get the benefit of that offseason. And that's why I've also tried to be a little patient with it. Because I know, maybe everybody should have realized, but you can't, sometimes you don't get it on the first try, and it's hard to adjust on the fly like that. So one thing I noticed is some of the, like the Fever adjusted on the fly in the sense of when they had that Olympic break. When they came out of that Olympic break, their social team was ready to go, right? Like they were acting like a team that had Caitlin Clark on it. After the Olympic break. But before that, they really weren't. The rest of the league, I think, you get the offseason, you get ready and you prepare, and all of it should be promoted. Like Sabrina's shoes are fire. She just hit that huge shot. Her shoes are up 5x from last year, right? Like Asia should be promoted. Angel should be promoted. Paige should be promoted when she comes in. But you also have to embrace Caitlin Clark. And the idea like that, she gets a lion's share of the coverage. So does LeBron James. So
on purpose. Exactly.
So does the Dallas Cowboys. Like,
exactly.
How is it any different than ever before? It's just there's some sort of dynamic with women's basketball behind the scenes that's different than the other sports that I've ever covered or seen before. And having, put myself in there, one thing at first I was a little like, with everybody else, like, oh, do I need to walk on eggshells or tiptoe? And then I'm like, what? No, you are who you are. You've done what you've done. Your career speaks for itself. Anybody who knows what you're about knows what you're about. And I'm not going to I'm going to stand 10 toes and tell you the truth about what's going on out there. I don't have any bias or agenda. And am I rooting and pulling for Caitlin Clark? I mean, yeah, like I did for LeBron, right? In that sense where you're talking about, that girl is the coldest hooper I've seen. What do you want me to say? You want me to lie?
A lot of people want you to lie. A lot of people want you to close your eyes, act like you're not seeing what you're seeing, act like nothing's happening, and that will be it. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So Liberty trying to close out tomorrow, Game 4 against Minnesota. Just before we change topic, I did not know much about Collier until I saw this season, and I'm I kept hearing about it. Who is is she she's like the new Maya Moore, but a bigger Maya Moore from Minnesota. And I first seen her. I know she's been around for a little bit, but I first seen her this season. I'm like, yo, she's a fucking killer. I'm like, who is we can't she 25, 10, 7 blocks, 4 steals. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's to the point we were just talking about. That is the benefit, right? That is the rising tide lifting all boats, because otherwise, Napheesa Collier would still be anonymous to a lot of people. She didn't get so much better from last year to this year, right?
Right. It's the same player.
It's the same player. We just got more eyeballs on her. And the problem with Napheesa is, and this is not a problem, but she's just so low key and so cool, calm, and collected. She just doesn't have. She's like a Tim Duncan-esque in a sense where
right to the business.
Right to business. So she might not ever be the one that catches the sensational media coverage. Yeah, but she's getting the recognition as the hooper she is. And look, that little fadeaway she's got is cold, right? She's a true baller, and the Lynx have had a great season. They play together. The problem is It's her and Courtney Williams, with the pull up, and Clyde can shoot the ball. They got a good team. The Liberty are just a stacked squad, going back to the all WNBA teams where you're talking about 1 first team member, 2 second team members of the all WNBA team. When we're saying one of them should have also been a first team member, and the second best rookie in the league in Leonie Fibic. Like, when you're talking about who's actually had the most impact as a rookie other than Clark, I would say it's Fibic, who came in very polished because she was playing overseas. She was winning championships and MVPs overseas and playing for the Olympic team over there. But you put all that together and it's just tough to overcome. And I think that's really been the issue for the Lynx is they're at a bit of a talent deficit against the Liberty.
What do you expect from Clark in year 2? Like, because like you said, after the All-Star Olympic break, whatever, she came back and she kind of like got her bearings together.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on, and they got to the number 6 seed. But now with a full rest and training camp and just being able to breathe, what do you expect from her for year 2?
An MVP and basically, stating her position as the best player in the world.
Let's do it.
Wow.
MVP.
Well, I mean, look, she was 4th in MVP this year.
I know.
I probably would have voted her second if I had a vote, but I think anywhere between 1 and 4 was fair. I mean, you could make a case. Look, let's just stick to the facts, right? Here are the facts. Where did the Indiana Fever draft?
They were the worst team. So
number
they had
1
to draft.
Yeah, they had the number 1 pick. I think they had
number
the
1
second
pick.
worst record, but the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Where did they finish? They were in the playoffs, right? For the first time in however many years. On top of that, Caitlin Clark averaged a points and assists numbers that have never been done. Not by a rookie, but there has never been a player who averaged as many points and as many assists as she did. She produced more points when you combine points and assists
together,
than any
right?
player in the history of the sport, right? Like, so that's as a rookie with a little bit of a rough adjustment, relatively speaking, at the beginning. She also was top 25 in rebounds, blocks, and steals. When you put all that together, you add a little bit of talent to the roster, you get some extra experience. I mean, it's just not a controversial thing to say.
No.
It's the natural progression where, she was the best guard in the sport this year. So to say she can't be the MVP, she's second in the MVP odds for next year. To say she can't be the MVP or have a claim for the best player in the world, I think she was very, very arguably the best player in the world post-Olympics. Right there. It was Nafisa, Asia, and Clark right there, all vying, all playing at an extraordinarily high level. But I'm sorry, I'm not gonna pray ring around the rosy about the truth.
No. Listen, it's In the Game podcast. We invite people on that's going to speak their truth and back it up with actual facts, back it up with actual data. And you're 130% right. The data and the facts can't be argued, and it's going to be interesting to see the arc of Caitlin Clark's story. Obviously, where it starts, where the middle and the end. It's going to be very interesting watching her and how she obviously lifts the tides of the WNBA in general. So it's going to be interesting.
So, Robin, got a few more things before I let you go. I know Dennis is not feeling well, but 2 quick things. I'm against NBA. The last part. Davante Adams now goes to the Jets.
Yep.
They fired Salah last week. They get Davante. They get Pittsburgh this weekend. Does that save the season? How does it go from now on?
Robin said, "Hell,
probably not."
No, I just don't. I think the Jets we are overinflating the Jets based on Aaron Rodgers' reputation.
Facts.
And not to say that Aaron Rodgers' reputation isn't earned. I mean, the guy's a great quarterback, but he's on the older side. He's coming off an Achilles, and the team before it stunk out loud offensively, hasn't been that much better offensively this year. So why all of a sudden are we thinking of the Jets as like contenders? Like what, other than the fact that Aaron Rodgers is a name that a lot of people know. So I think, look, is it a bad move? I can't say it's a bad move. You're bringing talent. You're bringing an offensive weapon and maybe it helps them. I think the Bills are the clear class of that division. I think they got the best player in that division by a mile in Josh Allen. I think they also made a pretty significant trade at the wide receiver position. They have a 2-game head start on the Jets right now, plus a win in hand over the Jets. So I don't think they can catch the Bills for the division. So that means the wild card, and there's going to be a lot of competition for there. What have we seen from the Jets so far that makes you think they're going to be there, other than I know that name, Aaron Rodgers, and I know that name, Davante Adams?
I mean, Breece Hall, Gary Wilson, maybe they click together. I don't know. I'm just being optimistic over here.
Playoffs, you're going to get playoffs. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. And to be honest, you may think that the Davante Adams may be it may stunt the growth of Garrett Wilson. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Possibly it may stunt the growth of Garrett Wilson. It'll settle the offense because it'll give Aaron Rodgers somebody else who he knows he can count on, and just Davante over there. Let me just go back shoulder, see what happens. Mm-hmm. He can have that now versus what he's dealing with now. Woody Johnson, this is his team. He's the owner. He can do what he wants. He can fire people, hire people.
Exactly.
And that's what
Ambassador Woody Johnson, that is.
There you go. Correction. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin. Ambassador Woody Johnson. Listen, hey, I feel for some Jets fans because clearly you have some situation. You mentioned Buffalo. Amari Cooper going up there.
That was tough.
I think that was what literally, I think it's kind of like how I look at Baltimore getting Derrick Henry as what takes him over the top. I think Amari Cooper going to Buffalo takes him over the top because he obviously with the wide receiver, he went to Houston. I forget his name off the top of my head. Diggs. Diggs was good. He went to Houston. Mm-hmm. You need to fill that role. And Amari said, I'm happy to go. I'm happy to go from here. It's been some tough games this past couple of games, so I'm happy to leave Cleveland. So it's going to be interesting.
Dennis, even if you look at the AFC, like Jets, I think what's in their favor is the fact that maybe your notables of like Cincinnati is struggling. The Jaguars are struggling. Like those were, if you said before the year was going to start, you probably had Cincinnati and Jacksonville maybe penciled in, along with KC right now, Buffalo and Baltimore and Houston. So that's 4. So if I'm missing anybody, the Chargers are doing better. Denver is doing a little bit better. Pittsburgh is out there. So there is some competition for the Jets. Like this weekend, big game, they got to get that one because you can't, fire Salah, then lose to Buffalo. Then you get Davante, then you lose to Pittsburgh. Then it's like, dang, all right, what else is there for us to do? But like we're going to give up. So this game right here, it's a big game, and I know Davante wanted to leave Vegas. He had the quote unquote hamstring injury, and now it's like fully healed.
No, we got healing factor. It's Wolverine. We got healing factor, baby.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think just seeing them together. But to your point, Amari Cooper going to Buffalo was just as key and important than Davante to the Jets was.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I think. Look, again, the Bills were already ahead of the Jets, and to me, Josh Allen is right there with Patrick Mahomes. He's the best player in the NFL, not named Patrick Mahomes, and inarguably a top 5 quarterback. If you don't agree with that,
you have Josh over Lamar.
Yes,
it's good. It's good.
I mean, look at their playoff resumes head to head. Josh has a stronger playoff resume. Lamar's in that time. I mean, Lamar's terrific. Lamar, I would say my top 5 quarterbacks are Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Purdy. I put Brock Purdy in that top.
Brock
5.
is working
for this year. For this year,
just
Brock
in general,
is working.
Yeah, if you're telling me who the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL are, he's one of them.
Yeah, he's up there.
And Joe Burrow. Those are
Joe Burrow may go down statistically this year as the best quarterback statistically, but then his wins won't even match.
I'm trying to think if someone's missing. Stroud.
Stroud's making his case, no question. Stroud's making his case. Jalen Hurts when he's at his best.
Goff.
I don't think Goff's on that level.
No. But the top 5 he just mentioned can't get no higher than that. Yeah. I mean, Those teams will be in the playoffs.
Not Danny Dimes, bro. Danny Dimes.
Why are you trying to get Robin?
I think Danny Dimes is a little bit better than people give him credit for, because just because he's been trashed so much, like when he's not quite as bad, or when his contract has been mocked so severely.
Oh, Jordan Love.
Jordan Love's another guy making the case, but I need a little bit more.
Not top 5, top 10 possibly. Not
top 10,
5.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm good with the top 5. I'm that top 5 I stated. I feel good about.
Now my guy Sam Darnold, former Jet.
Hey, your boy Eaton.
Hey,
your boy Eaton.
That's my team. We're undefeated, so I'll take it. We'll take it. Look out for CJ Stroud. The man also said Aaron Rodgers is sabotaging the squad. So, now with Davante, real quick, how many more years do you think A-Rod has with the Jets? Probably another year, 2 max. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he could play a couple more years. I just don't. I mean, we got to see where he's at. I mean, the Jets need to look at their quarterback. They still need a quarterback for the future. It's been in a perpetual search for a quarterback. And they need one. As far as Rodgers, I mean, could he play at the level he's playing at this season? Next year, yeah. The year after that, probably. I think what's hurt him a little bit is part of what made him great was his ability to extend the play and make the off-platform throws out of the pocket. And when you have an Achilles injury on top of being at an older age, you lose that a little bit. And I was always critical of him in recent years of being a little bit too risk averse. He doesn't put the ball down the field. And so he would have these playoff games where he didn't really throw picks, but he also didn't put up a bunch of numbers that you would expect from somebody with his resume. So when you take that and you add it to a little bit of a diminished ability to move, you have a diminished quarterback, not a bum, but not the name outweighs the game.
Yeah. Danny, any more before I got 2 more for Robin, but unless you got
I want to look at that ESPN list.
Okay, before you go there, so I'll let Danny take care of that real quick. Yankees up 2-0, Mets down 1-2 to the Dodgers. Are you looking forward to a Yankees-Dodgers World Series, or do you want the Yankees and Mets?
I mean, I would always sign up for the Yankees and the Mets, given, I did New York Sports Talk Radio for as long as I did. But I feel like that's a win-win for MLB, right? They can't really go wrong with either of those outcomes. Either you get the Subway World Series or you get the 2 most prominent franchises in the history of the sport.
Yeah, because last year was what, Texas and Arizona?
That beats me. I got you.
See, there you go. It's like, huh? Who played? I don't know.
Oh man! All right, Denny. So I'll pull up just the top 10. I don't
think we got to the top 10. I think we got obviously every year, Robin. Clearly, we have
help you out.
different media outlets, ESPN, Fox. They rank their NBA players from 100 down to number 1. And every year, me and Randy go crazy because we disagree, and we don't know. We do not know who these folks are ranking these players. So that's interesting to say. But yeah, we don't have. We have 20.
I got like little bit here and there, but then I'll give you top 10.
Yeah. Oh, we have a top 10.
Yeah, we got top. Are you don't know top 10?
No, please. I didn't see a top 10. I saw the last 50. I saw 50 to 11.
It's somewhere over here. Hold up.
Yeah, take your time. I saw 50 to 11, but at the same time, too, as I'm going through this list, I'm like, okay, how are they ranking these guys? Obviously, for example, they got Mikal Bridges at 38 out of 100. They got Trae Young ranked higher than him. Holiday is higher than him. Scotty Barnes Rudy Gobert's at 34. Why?
So Rudy Gobert being higher than them is the biggest bone I would pick. Who was the other one you said? Who was the one you just said before that?
Oh, okay, yeah. So Scotty, who's after Rudy's at 34. After 34, Scotty's at 35, Holiday's at 36, and Trey's at 37.
Okay, Scotty Barnes is maybe an issue too. I think Trey is underrated at that level, to be honest with you. I think Trae Young is better than that. And who was the other one you mentioned? Drew Holiday.
There you go.
I mean, like, look, I'm done doubting Drew Holiday. Guy wins a championship with Milwaukee, wins a championship with Boston. The gold medal team changes the last time around, not this past time, but he was an integral part of the team that just played. But the team before that, the KD led team,
with Kyrie,
that all changed when Holiday got there. So I got no problem with Drew being there.
Okay, so Danny, I got the top 50.
Okay, go ahead.
So let me go to it. All right, LaMelo Ball at 50. Julius Randle, New Minnesota T-Wolf, is at 48.
Look who's at 30.
Okay, hold on. Let me get there. Murray, 43. Siakam, James Harden, 41.
41.
Derek White, 39. Mikal, 38.
38 was mentioned. We just mentioned that, right?
Is he next with Derek? Oh, so he's ahead of Drew Holiday.
And Drew Holiday
behind Holiday.
I would say that Mikal Bridges and Derek White are on the exact same tier. So that to me is about correct.
And I think then to your point, the fact that maybe Scotty Barnes is probably higher than Mikal because Scotty is the main focal point of the Raptors.
Oh no, Scotty's going to lead Toronto in every statistical category: points, rebounds, assists. And
Laurie Marketing 33, Chet 32, Jamal.
Who's 30? Who's like 30? Ow, the big meow.
Oh, the boy. They got Cat number 30. And he was 20 last year.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, it says right here, 20 last year. Sabonis 29. Jimmy Buck is 28.
That's low.
He was 12 last year.
Well, Jimmy Butler. I still, when the chips come down, is top 5.
They don't like him. They don't like him. That's just what it is. Zion
Williamson is better than Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Absolutely.
Wow.
That's disrespect.
It is 130%. Like,
Zion played 11 career games, and Jimmy Butler
took his team to a final, and he's behind Zion.
Took his team to a couple of them.
Well, to be fair, he did play 70 games last year.
Don't care.
That's I mean, it's more than Embiid, 23 and 6.
No, I'm not. I didn't mean to pick out that. I just mean like
no.
Jimmy Butler's. Kyrie Irving is not better than Jimmy Butler.
See,
if you're telling me my life depends on a playoff series, but like my life depends on it, and I can choose one of those two guys, I'm taking Jimmy Butler.
Based on the data, I have no reason to argue with that over the period of time. I know Dallas Kyrie's
playing off Luka.
Fair.
You know,
So
Kyrie has always been at his best. The best versions of Kyrie have been playing off of somebody else. And Kyrie did not play well in the finals, by the way.
Hey,
Danny's boy Banchero's up there, 24.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Dame did go back 14 last year, 23 this year, because probably the injuries and stuff like that. Kawhi. I don't know why
Kawhi at 22.
Come on, this guy.
Basketball player.
Oh, man,
Kawhi at 22.
All right, PG 21, John Morant 20. All right.
And John Morant, another one. John Morant is not better than Jimmy Butler. He hasn't done anything. He's not done anything. He just missed the entire season. You know, he's either hurt or doing dumbass stuff on Instagram. Like, how is he better than Jimmy Butler?
It's a fair question. That's why we want to see who these people voting, because we want to ask them these fair questions. It's a fair question, Robin. I agree.
I think, again, and this is why I think they do it, because they get the uproar about, like, he's not better than XYZ.
Oh, we know why.
They're looking at the projection of, like, John Morant is going to be doing better if healthy this year with Memphis than Jimmy will be doing in Miami. That's like, you know, who's making an all-star team this year, John Morant or Jimmy Butler? You're probably going to say more John Morant, right or wrong?
More than likely John Morant.
Unless
Sidebar.
Miami has a great, first half of the season.
Sidebar.
But the only reason we're not talking about Jimmy Butler the same way we were talking about him before is he got hurt last year in the playoffs. Like, when he went down, you weren't thinking it like, the Heat are some scrubs. You were thinking, the Heat were the team that could, at least I was. He's only a year removed from getting Boston out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Facts. Sidebar, I was going to say, too, also with Memphis, it's going to be interesting to see Zach Edey. Shout out to everyone. It's in the Game Podcast, Robin Lundberg, Randy J. Cruz. Thank you for tuning in and watching us. It's going to be interesting. You guys, the aficionados, told me Zach Edey would not be who I think he's going to be, which is he's going to be a great player over in Memphis. I saw him do about 4 hook shots. Kids, you may not know what a hook shot is because you're children. Go do some research. Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay, one of the best basketball moves that can be used by a big man. Zach Edey got a hook shot. Oh boy, watch these high screens with Morant. See how Memphis does in the West. Can't wait.
Are we good with Maxey at 19?
Yes, you gotta see who's in front of him.
All right, we got Bam, Donovan, Tyrese Halliburton.
Move Donovan lower. Move Halliburton lower, please, Jesus.
D Booker, Jaylen Brown, MVP the finals. By the
way,
they don't like
Jaylen Brown or Jimmy Buckets.
Nah,
NBA hate them.
All right, AD, Jalen Brunson 12, Wembayama. All right, let's go to the top 10.
Wembayama already better than AD. Interesting.
Ant-Man at number 10. I got no.
He might be overrated a little bit compared to
who?
Anthony Edwards has been proclaimed, higher than he's actually acclaimed, than he's actually claimed himself. Great personality, killer game, all that. But some of these other guys are accomplished. I mean, Devin Booker, by the way, deserves credit for the sacrifices he made on the Olympic team. And
facts.
And he's also, been there and done that for a minute. Jaylen Brown, you just talked about, was a finals MVP. Anthony Davis has won a championship and is a defensive terror. So I feel like Anthony Edwards has benefited from people looking for another face of the NBA,
league.
And they're pushing him so hard.
That's a good point.
Not that he can't get there.
That's a good point.
He hasn't done it yet to be there, in my
fair
opinion.
point.
Yeah,
fair point.
All right, so I got a few minutes with Robin. You got to roll. All right, so boom, Kevin Durant 9. Are we good with KD?
That's
at
fine.
9?
That's
all
fine.
Right. Embiid at 8. Last year was number 3.
We can lower him lower because of his injuries. Continue.
LeBron 7. Last year 9.
55-year-old LeBron James has been in the top 10 of the best NBA players for I think over 15 years.
Look, that's low. Also, over the course of 82. Maybe I can see it because, but you're talking a playoff series or a 1-game situation. LeBron still has an argument for number 1.
Okay.
Top 10.
Steph Curry number 6. Last year 5.
I would have both those guys over.
So Jason they got Joker at number 1 clearly.
Yeah.
Tatum.
I would take both LeBron and Curry over Tatum.
Oh, Tatum, so would I. God bless. Thank you.
SGA last year 8. This year 4.
Well, because of the record and what he did, but he's gonna have to get out the first round.
He's on that trajectory. I still wouldn't put him ahead of those guys.
Yeah,
Giannis 3. Last year 1.
I can see Giannis being 3. Sure.
We kind of know what's number 2 and 1. Luka number 2 now.
Luka number 2.
Last year.
Luka number 2. Joker number 1. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be very interesting to see what happens in the West.
Are you good with the top 10, Robin? You good with the top 10?
I mean, I don't think anything's egregious, but like I said, I would still have LeBron and Curry. We just watched. What did we all just see? Team USA come together like Voltron. So aside from Jokic, Giannis, and Luka, who are exempt from that conversation, the 2 best players on the American national basketball team were LeBron James and Steph Curry. So to me, they're still better than every other American player.
Facts. Facts. Robin. Exactly. Facts. Robin. Randy. Did you guys hear about maybe the NBA actually getting more aggressive, allowing more FIBA play this year? Did you read anything about that?
I hope so. I like the way the FIBA game is played better.
Yeah,
I like the way the FIBA game is officiated better than the way the NBA.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I read something about that where they're looking at possibly pulling that into this year where it's a little bit more aggressive. You actually allowed to play some defense, and they only call when you're drawing blood. So I appreciate go ahead, Robin. You can say something.
Well, I mean, one of my least favorite things about NBA basketball now is the foul merchants. It's a disgrace to the game.
Facts.
The way that people try to. It's one thing to get fouled while you're going up for a shot. It's another thing for your goal to be to draw a foul rather than to make the basket.
Yeah.
I agree.
Robin, I know you got to roll. We really appreciate every time you come on. We do
every time.
Quite a few times during the NBA season. I know we'll try to get you on more often. Find Robin Lundberg on Twitter, X at Robin Lundberg. Great work for Sports Illustrated. doing his own podcast, his own
Women's
stream.
Fast Break on SI is the women's basketball website I run through Sports Illustrated, and the Robin Lundberg Show on YouTube.
There it is.
Don't forget, just stick around while I can get this thing upload this, so you're good. Denny Blanco, Sir Denny Blanco on social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Rainy J Cruz, RENDY, little JCRUZ. Podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. If you've been watching on X and YouTube, thank you, man. We appreciate it. YouTube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. For Randy Cruz, Denny Blanco, Robert Lundberg, It's in the Game podcast. We out.
It's in the game, you heard?
Yes, sir.